Yeah. Okay.
Alright, so a few weeks ago we made a tonkatsu sauce that could be used for 3 of the most popular Japanese dishes. Then in last week's episode we made the first of the 3 and the sauce's namesake, tonkatsu, the crunchiest pork chop ever. So today we're gonna make the second of the 3 dishes and what you could argue to be the easiest noodle stir fry you'll probably ever make. I usually listen to podcasts while I film, if you ever notice the earbuds, but today I was feeling some Latin music. Anyway, now you can do absolutely anything your heart deeply desires as far as what to put in this, and as usual I'm merely showing you how I like to do mine. So as always, you do you. I'm starting off with some green cabbage that I hacked off of a much larger head and just thinly slicing it. There's kind of an unwritten rule in Asian cuisine. You want all of the vegetables in a dish to be uniform, so if you julienne one thing, julienne all the things. If you cut things into chunks, cut all the things into chunks. It's all about harmony. So I'm doing the same with this carrot, which also happens to be the second half of the carrot I used in the last episodes, since they're beasts. And if you're a regular viewer, you're not in the least bit shocked by me also thinly slicing some green onions and reserving the dark green tops for garnish. I also finally bought myself a pair of cooking chopsticks, and this was actually my first time using them. They are great, except I realized right away that the bowl was way too small and transferred it to a larger one. I really like the long reach with them, makes things a lot easier. Normally I would add some onion, garlic, and ginger to this, but I'm not going to, and I'll show you why in a bit. Now again, you can use whatever you want for this, doesn't matter. I'm going with this nice piece of sirloin that I got for really cheap. I almost never remove fat from things, because well, fat equals flavor and moisture, but I will definitely take off these few pieces of silver skin. The same uniform rule that applies to vegetables also applies to proteins. I'm slicing the sirloin in half with the grain, and now you can more easily see the muscle fibers running in the same direction. Then we're going to thinly slice it across the grain, which will make this already tender cut of beef infinitely more tender. Keep in mind that the beef will shrink up as it cooks, so always cut a bit thicker than what you want the final product to be. Now what you might not know is that I too have an unwritten rule. Whenever I cut beef, I always save a piece for the end, hit it with some good kosher salt, and enjoy my life to the fullest. Toss the beef in a bowl and season with some canola oil, kosher salt, and freshly cracked black pepper, and give it a good mix. I also swear this was the last piece I ate. For the nudes, I'm using Japanese soba noodles made from buckwheat flour. They have a great chewy texture to them and a really nice, slightly toasty flavor. Bring a pot of water to boil over high heat and toss in the noodles. Have I mentioned how much I like these cooking chopsticks yet? If you don't like your noodles turning into shrapnel when you try to stir fry them, the trick is to cook them to about 80% doneness, like just before al dente. That way they don't overcook in the first minute or two of stir frying. Just before they're done, reserve a few spoonfuls of the noodle water. Then strain the noodles and add them to a large bowl full of cold water. This step is entirely optional, but will result in a noodle that's chewy and won't fall apart. For the sauce, we'll of course be using our homemade tonkatsu sauce, but we're also going to add a small amount of oyster sauce since it's a signature flavor in yakisoba and the one element that isn't in our tonkatsu sauce. Now the reason we save the noodle water is to thin the sauce out a bit, since it's way too thick. The water will evaporate quickly and the remaining starch will turn it into a nicely coating sauce. To stir fry, I recommend using a wide shallow cast iron pan, for a couple reasons. Because it has a larger surface area that will heat more evenly, you don't need to have it as hot as you would a wok, so there's less of a chance of burning. You also won't have one really hot spot in the middle, meaning you won't have to constantly stir it. Whereas with a wok, the hottest spot is the center, so you need to keep it moving. Heat the pan over medium-high heat and add a few good drizzles of canola oil. As soon as it starts to lightly smoke, throw in the beef and stir fry until it just starts to crisp and brown on the outside. Then add the vegetables. Now the reason we never added any onion, garlic, or ginger is because there's one ingredient that has all 3, plus a ton of umami, flavor, and heat. I am, of course, talking about kimchi. Continue stir frying for another minute before adding the noodles and the sauce. Mix everything thoroughly, which is super easy with cooking chopsticks apparently. Season lightly with some kosher salt and cook for just another minute or two. Then bust out your fanciest bowl, fill it with some hot nudes, garnish with a drizzle of sesame oil, the reserved green onion tops, and some toasted sesame seeds. And that's it. Japanese yakisoba. The best part of all of this was that my girlfriend was out of the house, so I didn't have to share for once. There are an infinite amount of combinations you could do for a yakisoba, so tell me, what would you put in yours? If you like my channel and are interested in supporting it, you can check out my Ko-fi page. I recently added monthly memberships as well as the first bonus video for free, just to give you a taste of what I'll be offering. I'll leave a link for both in the description and also for the tools and equipment I used in this episode. And as always, liking, subscribing, and commenting are the easiest ways to support me making new content every Wednesday. Thanks for watching, and stay awesome.